tonight, Niue mourns the sudden loss of a beloved son. A family in Haku is relieved to depart Niue this week after long-awaited flights for over a month. And a walk to raise awareness for domestic violence draws support from across the island. Tunga e leo he kulukulu kua whakalea mai he tau aho osi, whakalofalahi atu, welcome to BCN News. A kind heart and gentle spirit who touched the lives of many is how young Lakepa local Templar Tō Mailunga has been remembered by his family. The 35-year-old passed away suddenly on Saturday morning at Niue Hospital. His cause of death is yet to be determined. A proud descendant of Hakupu and Alofi, Templar was a devoted father, son, brother, uncle and friend to many. He worked as a heavy machinery operator for the Niue government and most recently as a construction worker on the Niue airport fence upgrade with Downers. In 2022, Templar married Lakepa local and MP Rhonda Siakia Tō Mailunga. They had recently attended the Pule Whakamotu celebrations together. As the community prepares for his funeral this Saturday in Lakepa, an outpouring of tributes has flooded social media from across Niue, Australia and New Zealand. Templar is survived by his son Denzel, wife, family and community across the Pacific who mourn his loss. One of the recipients of the Niue government's 2023 Community Star Awards, Mrs. Talakaima Sauni, also passed away at the weekend. Sauni dedicated many years to teaching in Niue and was honoured by the government last year for her contributions to the education sector and commitment to serving the village of Avasele. She was 81 years old. Tuku atu e tau I whakaalofa ke hana a tau whanau mo e mga whaua katoa. After desperate attempts over several weeks to get out of Niue, father of two Craig Ryburn says he's relieved that he and his children will finally leave this Friday to join his wife in Auckland for the funeral of his father-in-law. Flights out of Niue have been booked at capacity for over a month, with growing waiting lists leaving many stranded. Here's Esther Pavehi with the story.
Craig Ryburn and his family became desperate to secure seats on the single weekly flight to New Zealand earlier this month, when they received news that his father-in-law was ill. After no luck with Air New Zealand, they looked at options to charter a flight or sail out of the country. Ryburn's wife only managed to secure a seat 2 weeks ago when one was made available for her.
You know, we're kind of a sailing maritime family. We looked at whether yachts we could sail out on. We looked at whether there was going to be an option to get on the supply ship as well, but the timing again for that didn't work. So, you know, it makes you feel a long way from home.
It comes after the second weekly Air New Zealand flights concluded in October, marking the end of the tourist season, returning to a single flight per week from the 2nd of November. Since then, people have been on wait lists for seats to travel out of Niue. Craig Ryburn says that he is grateful for the assistance from local Air New Zealand agent Peleni's Travel, but there was really nothing they could do. This speaks to the isolation of Niue with just one flight per week.
In some ways, I suppose it's the reality of here, that it is an isolated community, and you know, that flight really is kind of a lifeline to getting out of Niue.
BCN News reached out to Air New Zealand for comments on the wait list and received a statement from Brent Roxburgh, who said that due to the maintenance requirements and the lack of engine availability, this means that Air New Zealand aircrafts that operate this route are spending more time on the ground than anticipated. As a result, he said Air New Zealand have 5 Airbus aircrafts out of service, which meant they had to make adjustments to their flying schedule across their network. Roxburgh, who is the head of Pacific Islands Division for Air New Zealand, said that they remain committed to flying to Niue year-round, and they have added 2 additional flights over the busy Christmas-New Year period to accommodate customers travelling to and from Niue. Sadly for Craig Ryburn and his children, they were unable to make it back in time before his father-in-law passed. But for the father of 2, he says he's glad that they will be back in New Zealand in time for his funeral. Esther Pavehi for BCN News.
The Mangawa family says they are still grappling from the shock of a devastating fire that destroyed their family home in Haku earlier this month. The blaze engulfed the Mangawa family residence in the early hours of November 7, just after midnight. Authorities are still investigating the cause of the fire. Leviki Timothy Mangawa spoke to BCN from New Zealand, where he's been residing since October.
I find it very difficult, very hard. And for any family to get a shock like this, not only me, myself and my whole family, that's how I felt. It was heartbroken.
Craig Ryburn, who lives just metres away from the Mangawa residence, says his family were abruptly awoken at 1:30 a.m. by loud banging noises coming from the property. By then it was already up in flames.
It was pretty big, so yeah, when I saw it, the walls and things were still intact, but then the flames were out all four sides of the building. And then, later I returned and it had burnt right down to just the framing left, and eventually the fire service did turn up, I believe, but at that point the house was basically gone.
The home was built in 1963 and had been owned by generations of the Mangawa family. It had recently undergone renovations and was unoccupied at the time of the fire. Mr. Mangawa is calling for a thorough investigation to rule out the possibility of arson.
Whatever happened, whatever they say in the investigation of the place, would be very hard for me to know.
A coroner's inquest is currently underway and an investigation report is due this week. Fire alarms are not mandatory under the building permit requirements for Niue. In a statement to BCN, Clinton Chapman, Director of Utilities responsible for the building code, said a review of the building permit requirements was underway to include fire alarms. It's the fifth house fire in Niue to occur in 10 years. In November 2021, 2 homes in the village of Makefu were destroyed by fire. A severe teacher shortage has struck Niue Primary School and Niue High School, with a staggering 15 vacancies needing to be filled by next year. According to the Public Service Commission, a combination of factors has led to the unusually high number of vacancies, including health issues, contract non-renewals, and a lack of accommodation. Esther Pavehi reports.
The Education Department and the Public Service Commission are in the process of interviewing teachers to fill the 15 teacher vacancies. 11 teachers are needed for Niue High School and 4 teachers for Niue Primary School. The Director of Education, Natasha Tohovaka, in a statement said that the Education Department is grateful for the teachers from overseas for responding to the needs of the Niue schools, but she says prioritizing succession planning is needed, and to also encourage students to take up a career as teachers. Meanwhile, the Acting Director for the Public Service Commission, Hagen Siosikefu, told BCN News that the higher than usual number of vacancies this year is due to the health issues of the teachers and or their families, and some of the teachers deciding not to renew their contracts, choosing to take up teaching opportunities elsewhere. Siosikefu also confirmed the concerns of the Public Service Commission about the lack of accommodation for the 15 teachers. The lack of available accommodation for the government's expatriate workers has been known for a long time. Siosikefu said that the government houses at Fualahi was under the responsibility of the Public Service Commission for the purpose of providing housing for its expatriate employees, but this is no longer the case. This means that they have to look elsewhere for rental properties for the employees of the government. The Commission confirmed that they received a good number of applications for the 15 vacancies, including 2 Niuean teachers from abroad. The interviews for the teachers will be completed this week. Esther Pavihi for BCN News.
Several key ministerial changes have been announced this week. Minister of Finance and Infrastructure, Honourable Crossley Tātui, will assume the role of Acting Prime Minister until this Friday. Member for Liku Village, Mr. Longopati Siomanu, will act as Minister for Social Services until December 6 in the absence of Honourable Sonia Tālangi. And Member for Namukulu Village, Mr. Sile Peasione, will take on the role of Acting Minister for Natural Resources until December 6 in the absence of Honourable Mona Ainuu. Prime Minister Delton Tangelangi returns to Niue tomorrow. A sea of supporters gathered at the Niue police station on Monday to participate in a walk aimed at raising awareness around domestic violence. According to Niue police, domestic violence remains a persistent issue in the community, with many cases of family harm going unreported. Here's the story. Heavy rain failed to dampen these high spirits.
How's the walk going? Amazing! Fantastic!
Walking together for a good cause.
Does it feel nice and cool?
Yes. I love it. Yeah, just what we needed.
They've joined a 16-day global activism campaign for White Ribbon that aims to end violence against women and young girls.
So we commemorate it every year to mark the violence against women.
Niue Police says domestic violence is still prevalent in Niue, with around 5 cases reported annually. But local counsellor and mental health specialist Tili Fetoui says that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It's still quite secretive and it's a taboo subject, so they're not coming forward and we're seeing a lot of repetitive cycles.
Fetoui says a mix of factors has contributed to the ongoing issue of domestic violence in the community.
It's financial stresses, it'll be alcohol related, intermarriages, and just a lot of stresses in regards to the family unit, a lot of children.
Today's walk aiming to encourage victims to break their silence.
My message out to the community of Niue, that it's okay, we're here.
Around 100 men and women from across the island coming together. Spreading a message of hope that vulnerable families are not alone. Niue Police says confidential help is at hand for those in need through a network of services provided by the police, justice system, health services, churches and school.
That's the only thing we want people to actually have the confidence to come towards the people they trust and then just go through that channeling to the next person.
No one's going to get in trouble if they...
No one's going to get in trouble, but we will try and help.
As walkers battle wind, rain and Tapu Hill, community providers hoping they're a walk closer to ending domestic violence. Moana Makapiluli, BCN News. The smallest village on the island, Namukulu, hosted its annual Village Show Day on Saturday, marking 102 years since the village was established. The event drew families from all over the island who gathered to sample the best of Namukulu's cuisine and local goods. Here's the story.
The assemblyman of the village, Sile Peasione, thanked the many people who turned up to support the day. Dignitaries, including the Acting Minister of Social Services, Honourable Longo Silmanu, was there, along with the representatives from the New Zealand and Australian High Commissions.
I'm honoured to represent the Australian High Commission. It's so impressive to see the beautiful food and produce that we see on display through these market stalls. I'm always very impressed with the work and the talent that every community seems to be able to pull together and put on an excellent show day for us. It's wonderful to see so many people here supporting Namukulu as well, from the village or friends and family from throughout Niue. Australia was really proud to contribute community grant funding to the Namukulu Village Council as part of our 50th anniversary direct aid program. The Village Council used the grant to purchase assets for the church and the community hall that have been made available for all Namukulu residents. I'm sure the items were very well utilised during the 50th celebrations for visiting family and friends, so it's really great to see the impact that these grants can have on a community and how you can utilise them.
That was the Australian Deputy High Commissioner, Hannah Kent-Sparks, speaking at the Namukulu Show Day. Also there was the New Zealand Deputy High Commissioner, Alana Prokuta.
Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words today. It's always a privilege to be invited into a community and join them in their celebration of what's important to them and who they are. Communities are fundamental to our identity and our culture, and no matter how big or small, communities are such an important part of who we are. I'll only say a few words. I think it's been a really big year for all of us. I think everyone must be looking forward to having a bit of a break after this huge constitution year. I know for New Zealand, with our series of high-level visits this year, we're really ready for a break. So it's such a pleasure to be here this morning in this beautiful corner of Niue with the Namukulu community. And I'd just like to acknowledge that you've got the most beautiful sea tracks here. My husband and I, our favourite swimming spot is down here at the Namukulu boat ramp, and we try and come here most weekends.
That's our show for tonight. Do you have a story or topic you'd like us to cover? We'd love to hear from you. You can contact us on our BCN Facebook page or visit us at the Met Office. A special whakalofa atu to our viewers from across the region and to our partners at Pacifica TV. I'm Moana Makapiluli, Monuine Po.